Imagine the best player in the world sick in your team. Like, it's gonna be tough. But the lesson for me was that, and I was happy with it, that like I felt like I stepped up in some in this beginning. If I lose 2 games but I make the playoffs, I don't give a fuck. So that's the main focus. We make playoffs and then we see where we get from there.
Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview covering EPL Season 19. This time I'm accompanied by FlameZ of Team Vitality, who are preparing to start their journey in said competition. So FlameZ, thank you so much for taking the time doing this interview real quick. And yeah, like first and foremost, covering your headspace. Coming back from the Copenhagen Major. What is your headspace like right now? What's your mentality like right now?
Well, right now it's been quite relaxing because we haven't played Dallas, the tournament in Dallas. But after the major, it was a bit disappointed. We were a bit disappointed because we wanted to go further, even though we made semis, which is not like a bad result, right? But we know we're capable of winning. Um, but on the other hand, like we still went after the major and said like, okay, well there is still you know a few months to this season that we can still win some tournaments that are going to be important nonetheless. Less than a major, but we still want to grab a trophy. Last year, Vitality didn't win until April, and then they won 5 tournaments. So we still have this chance, and we want to grab trophies. So we are disappointed, but on the other hand, we still have one more major this year. We still have more opportunities, so we're not quite like just gave up on the season yet. We still wanna win this trophy, grab every trophy on the way, but we need to we aim for just consistency and to play well, so we manage to get farther in the tournaments. So like one goal that will sort of like accomplish many on the way, and that's the main focus of ourselves, to not lose to ourselves in the officials.
I want to go back a little bit into the Copenhagen Major. As you said, bouncing back from that and having enough time to just kind of uh, refocus for this event. You know, how do you look back at that kind of result? Losing to Face Clan, specifically like in Map 3 in Inferno. And what do you think was the biggest uh, lesson that you learned for yourself, Flames?
Well, I think obviously we lost to a good phase, like they played well against us, um, but it was I think for myself it was just that it was a very tough major in some sense, because we had 2 people that were sick, and we had the best player in the world. Imagine the best player in the world sick in your team. Like, it's gonna be tough. But the lesson for me was that, and I was happy with it, that like I felt like I stepped up in some in this beginning, uh, just because there was a lot of responsibility to fill. And I think we all pushed as a team and fought. And even Matu, when he was sick, he still gave the energy that he could. And I think that was the main lesson, that this team. Well, I knew it, but when it's proven to you, you understand it and you realize it. It was just that the team is capable of fighting from the bottom. Like even when you're on the ground, you still try to push yourself back up, and even if it's one leg at a time and one hand at a time, like we still kept on doing that. And well, we lost against FaZe, and I think we could have played way better against them in the final, but we had our opportunity to beat them. We didn't, like, it wasn't like a dominant start for them or stuff like that. Like, we could have pulled it, like. So it was just a case of we needed to improve our game. Maybe with a slightly better form, we even pull and get it to the final, and then it's against Navi. But yeah, it never goes for granted. So the lesson I learned is just I have a good teammates and good people next to me, and relying on them is, well, it's the only option I have. So
Yeah, and going on from that to now, as I've been saying, having enough time to just recover, rebound, refocus, and now moving on to Malta. What do you think is the biggest adjustment that Vitality made since Copenhagen up until now?
the biggest decision.
Adjustment.
Adjustment. Okay. Well, we adjusted slightly. We didn't adjust maybe, but just added some things to our already adjusted game. And then obviously we adjusted some things in the game, but that will be shown in Pro League. I think if I say it, I will get fined by my teammates. So I think mainly some things in the game, but also how we approach the beginnings of the games because we had really tough starts on the major, really like 05, 05, 07, 06, you know. So we wanted to push ourselves more in the pistol rounds, and then if we don't win the pistol, which they're pretty much 50-50, we have more answers and more solutions in the second rounds, third rounds, because that's where we fell off. And we adjusted, well, yeah, again, not adjusted, but just added and changed some things that are related to what we're doing, and analyzed our game basically. And then, well, because Pro League is now 3 weeks, I think. There isn't, you know, if you told me that there is a major right after Pro League, I would tell you that we adjusted, but not for Pro League. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but because there is nothing ahead of Pro League that is like huge tournament, there is Blast, London, and I am Dallas. Yeah, and I'm Dallas. Well, there is nothing. There is we are still in on set on like practicing in those tournaments, you know, like trying to get ourselves more consistent and push in, and that's the adjustment a little bit in the mindset. But other than that, you know, there is some game stuff, but it's irrelevant to details because it's just, you know, slightly different smokes, different this. So yeah.
Now looking over to the entire year so far, for 2024, I'm gonna give a quick run through of Vitality's, results. Qualifying for Blast Spring Final, finishing 13th, 16th in Katowice, and then as we've been talking, semis in the major. I mean, by all accounts, many people will look at it as a kind of an up and down year, for Vitality. How do you kind of see the progression of this team in 2024 as a whole, from start up until now?
Well, it gets better because the major we performed better even with six circumstances. Obviously, we're not happy with this year because past that Katowice and spring groups, we won two tournaments back to back. You know, so obviously we want to do more, and we want to perform way better as a team, and we know we're capable. We have really insane players. So it's just like a bit of disappointment, but we need to remember we're still a young team and there is still a lot of process and progress to be made and to be done. So we're still looking at it positively because, you we know we can win, and we still need to work for it, which is a good thing in some sense because, if you don't know if you can win, if you have like unanswered questions and you just like we have the path and we solidified it already. Like we know where to go, which way kind of, and we just keep getting ourselves in this road to not set ourselves too many bumps on the way. Because when we lose to ourselves. We don't lose to other teams. If we go 16, 13 in the last place of the tournament, we didn't lose to a better team than us. We lost to ourselves. So it's just a matter of like we look at it like there is still progress. Obviously, the year has been up and down, but we are trying to get to a certain level that is more consistent and more impressive for us. More like semis, finals, more deeper tournaments. Because Vitality should be always in the playoffs. And if we can't manage to do it with the players we have, then it's a disappointment
Mhm.
for us, for the fans, for everyone. So.
Mhm. One more question before I wrap it up. More so, just now looking over to the group itself that Vitality is in. Of course, facing our first opponent against Sharks, and then the rest of the opponents in the group, which I'll list out also: Bed Boom, M80, Falcons, Mongols, Tailu, and then G2. More so, just looking at what are your expectations for this team and also for yourself in this competition in this group, and then later on, after that.
Well, obviously, we want to make playoffs no matter what. It's obvious that this tournament also gives you a lot of opportunities because there are a lot of teams. Um, but we don't really care how. Like, we don't care if you make playoffs. Obviously, we want to get to the quarter place and not the easiest place, but like the easiest path, like in a sense, like 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. But if if it comes like that, it comes like that. If it doesn't, we just need to make the playoffs. If I lose two games but I make the playoffs, I don't give a fuck. So that's the main focus. We make playoffs and then we see where we get from there.
Of course, love seeing that mindset for yourself and also from any other player. But still, I really appreciate you taking the time, Flames, for doing this interview real quick before the start of EPO. Really appreciate it, and best of luck. Go see you and the rest of the team.
Thank you. Have a good week.